यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। My humble prostrations at the all-pervasive reality in the form of Sadguru Sri Shivanandaji Maharaj, and I consider it a great and blessed privilege to be here with all of you this evening, the two assembled in this vibrant place, a place where from so many spiritual genius emerged and are still showing light to the whole world. That is the Samadhi Shrine of Param Pujya Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, and also my prostrations to Swami Yoga Swarupanandaji and all the monks and all spiritual aspirants here. Often whenever I talk in satsang, I remember one great shloka written by Bhartrihari Maharaja. In Vairagya Shatakam, Bhartrihari in a shloka presents to us our folly, our way of living life in vain and futility. And the shloka is Adityasya gatagataihi aharahas sankshiyate jeevitam vyaparehi bahukarya bhara gurubihi kalopi na jnayate drishtva janma jara vipatti maranam trasascha notpadyate पीत्वा मोहमयीं प्रमादमदिराम उन्मत्त भूतम जगत. It's a very beautiful shloka worth remembering every day. He says there is one phenomenon which happens in front of us called sunrise and sunset. Everyone sees that, and though we practically and physically see the rise of the sun and the setting of the sun, thus we count days, weeks, months and years, but we somehow miss one obvious point which we are good at. That is, with every rise of sun, with every setting of sun, we are losing the span of life. Adityasya gatagataihi aharaha sankshiyate jeevitam. In that process, the process is on, and unknowingly, without our knowledge, without our not being aware of it, and without our concern, in one way our lifespan is sankshiyate, kshiyate, deteriorating, and sankshiyate, deteriorating for good, so never to come back again. Now Bhartrihari puts a question again. Why is that we are not able to recognize this fact, the reality? Why? Because he says व्यापारैहि बहु कार्य भार गुरुभिः कालः अपि न ज्ञायते. This man is into so many activities which are at times useful to him and many a time not useful to him, not any way going to help for the realization of the life, realization of the true purpose of life, the goal of life. And he is into so many activities, and again busy to increase those activities. Because of this engagement into these many activities, kalaha api na jnayate. Though very intelligent this fellow is, but he never thinks of the time. And not only that, we are confronted by different things. Drishtva janma jara vipatti maranam. Janma, the birth, jara, the old age, and vipatti, many difficulties, and ultimately the maranam. So though these things are happening constantly, without cease, trasascha notpadyate, never he is given to thinking, never comes a feeling inside for growing spiritually. Then having told this much, he has concluded very beautifully that Pitva mohamayim pramada madiram unmatta bhutam jagat. He says something, Pitva mohamayim pramada madiram. He has consumed some alcohol called delusion. Bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudhamatihi. So this fellow's mind is so deluded that he is behaving as if he is a drunkard. So what this shloka tells us is, in a way, it emphasizes the need of satsanga. So why we should do satsang? What is the need of listening to Mahatmas and listening to Shastra? What is the use? Because the use is to break that pattern. Because we are given to that pattern and mechanically the life is going. Never we stop and take stock of this life. Where are we? Where are we going? Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kome tataha. So where are we coming from? Where are we going? Never we stand and think about that. So satsang is a place where we get that opportunity. If we ask Bhartrihari himself that you are criticizing in a beautiful way, but what am I supposed to do? Other than just enjoying life like this, what am I supposed to do? Then he himself very beautifully presents. It's also a very beautiful shloka. Himself presents what are we supposed to do and what is the aim and goal of life, by attaining which one enjoys the fulfillment, one will have the ecstasy of attaining Godhood. What is that? He says, Yavat swastamidam sharira marujam yavat jaradurataha yavat chendriya shaktir apratihato yavat chayo nayushaha atma shreyasi tavadeva vidusha karyah prayatno mahan sandipte bhavane tukupa kananam pratyudyama kidrishaha. So he says atma shreyas is the goal of life. So what am I to do? Every day I should think of this also. Apart from my bread and butter, apart from my all mundane activities, I should give a quality time for this Atma Shreyas. And he also says, never postpone this. Because Atma Shreyas is something which we very carefully reserve for old age. As though we get quality time at old age. It's not possible. But somehow a mechanism is there inside. A forgetfulness, vismriti of the reality. And we think in old age we will have plenty of time and this is the age to earn, to enjoy the world, to have all the joys that are around, to command them. But when old age dawns upon a person, then this quality time you cannot do, because when body is not cooperative, where is the question of yoga sadhana? When body is not able to stand stiff, what is the question of yoga sadhana? When body is in not a position to sit, what is the question of satsanga? When ears are not at all working and every small thing has to be repeatedly told, at that time how can one do Shastra Shravanam? Shankara very beautifully presents this in Bhaja Govindam. Balasthavat Kridasaktaha Tarunasthavat Taruni Saktaha Vriddhasthavat second babysitting Saktaha also. Not only Chinta, but he is into so many activities. So not only the emotional disturbance, not only the mental disturbance, but also so many other activities. So in this time we cannot do. So he says, never postpone this. Never, even in your wildest dreams, have this idea that I can just postpone and be happy. Now I will do and accomplish at that time. He says, Yavat swastam idam shariram. Swastam idam shariram. This body called Kshetra, just now we were reading Kshetra, Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So the Kshetra, before it gets some problem, before it is afflicted by major problems. When we say before it get problem, is it that we don't have any problem now? To maintain absolute health, is not possible. Every body will have some or the other problem, maybe detected or not detected, that's all. Or some disease existing in a manageable way, boiling at the 99 degrees. Okay, still has not, evaporation has not started, that's all. 99 degrees, some disease may be existing in the body. So, when he uses this word, yavat swastamidam, relatively swastam, before any big problem comes, before any pronounced effect is seen of these diseases on the body, you have to dedicate for this. And yavat jara durata, jara, the old age, is still at a distance. The fag end of life has not yet approached us. At that time we should do that. Then yavat indriya shakti apratihata. Indriyas, all jnanendriyas are working in a good condition. So that Guru is telling, Shishya is able to listen. Okay, so before that, Atma Shreyasi Tavadeva Vidusha. Before that itself he has to do what? Yeah, Atma Shreyasi. And whoever dedicates some time for this Atma Shreyas, he alone is called spiritual aspirant. And any activity which fosters, which enhances, which takes us to that mood, or which gives us some impetus, that is called spiritual sadhana. Atma Shreyasi Tavadeva Vidusha Karyaha. This is to be done. In life, this is to be done and nothing else. Why? If at all life is dedicated only for ahara, nidra, bhayamaitunamcha, then animal janma is more good. Understand? By being a man, in accomplishing food, we are committing so many sins, whereas animal does not. And earning food is a problem, sustaining it is a problem, and when it goes again a problem. So we have so many difficulties and obstacles in all these things. If I were an animal, then I never have a problem about this. And regarding other pursuits called having some pleasure, propagation of progeny, and protecting the self from all difficulties, the so-called outworldly difficulties, then animal janma is better. But when I see myself, my life is not like that. The inner potentialities of mind, when properly contemplated upon, reveal to me that they are not just okay for those four things. They are much more splendorous than all these things, much more capable than all these things. Then why did God give me this special ability? Why is this privilege which animals are denied of? Why I got this much of special ability? This ability is to be used for good purpose, the realization of the self. That is why it is called karyaha. Karyaha, that is to be done. Prayatno mahan. So this is the greatest karya we have to do. And if I don't do this, when problem comes, when Yamaraja comes or any old age comes, I am not prepared enough. Then the realization comes at that time that I have misused and abused the greatest opportunity. Then even if I begin at that time, at the age of 94 years, then how is it? He says, Sandipte bhavane tu kupa kanane. One fellow is digging the well for the sake of water to put off the fire which his house has caught. The house is on fire. Now after seeing the flames, he started digging the well so that he can get some water. And that too digging in Hyderabad, not in Rishikesh. Rishikesh you will get water. In Hyderabad where is a drop of water is a ambrosia. Understand? That is how situation is. So in this shloka he very clearly says that Atma Shreyas is the only job of human being. And all others, they are secondary. So what is spiritual life now? So all other pursuits, if they are subservient to this pursuit, to this main activity, then one is spiritual. So Shastra never said that leave your home and earth and do some activity. No. Take care of all of them. That is why Grihastha-ashrama is also emphasized in Shastra. Grihastha-ashrama is considered very pavitram also. When asked by Arjuna that what is the best way for me, what should I opt for? Shall I become a sannyasi? Because in the first chapter his heart became timid and he wanted to opt for some retirement into the forest because he is not in a position to do his kartavya karma. Then he asked Bhagavan, teach me one particular thing. Then Bhagavan said, Lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta maya nagha gnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Here karma yogena yoginam means karma marga is called grihastha marga, pravritti. And for nivritti it is different, Arjuna, and you are not qualified for nivritti. Understand, you are never qualified student for nivritti because you cannot sit half an hour in meditation. You cannot sit half an hour in meditation. And a man who is not enjoying the seclusion is never allowed for nivritti. He should not be. And Shastra gave another marga called pravritti. And you may ask me, Arjuna is such a great man, how can you say that he cannot sit in meditation for half an hour? The only answer is 14 years he was in exile. Never he took to tapasya, never he took to sadhu sangatya, never he took to any other spiritual pursuit. All 14 years were just mental preparation for this war. Man of rajoguna he cannot do. So Bhagavan said, this is not for you. So that means lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura proktam. Pura proktam in the form of Veda it is given, pravritti and nivritti. So if we leave away nivritti, we will talk about pravritti now. The pravritti grihastha can also be spiritual. How? By making all other pursuits subservient to this sole pursuit, this important pursuit. Then one is, grihastha is also a moksharthi eva. He is also a mumukshu. So now what am I to do for this Atma Shreyas, the spiritual upliftment? So what is that I have to do? Now that I have understood that I am leading a life full of confusion. Also I got from Bhartrihari Maharaja that Atma Shreyas is the goal. Then what am I to do in order to realize this goal? Then we have to come from Bhartrihari to Bhagavad Gita. Gita is that text which gives us all the teaching in every walk of life. Whenever we have a problem, come to Gita. Here Bhagavad Gita says every person has to do 3 things in order to qualify for this. So first I should qualify myself, Jnana Yogyata, then Jnanam, then Moksham, then Atma Shreyas. This is how it is. So how to qualify myself? There are 3 things, just 3 things. What are they? Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. One is Yajnam, one is Dhanam, the third one is Tapas. If you follow these 3 things, then you are on the path. You are not going on astray. You are not misled. You are not infatuated by the glitterings of the life, but you are treading upon the path. And from where this message comes into Gita? Is it the invention of Krishna, that Krishna thought these 3 things are good and we will tell everyone to follow? No, it comes from Upanishad, the Shruti. Tametam Vedanuvachanena Brahmana Vividhajanti Yajnena Danena Tapase. So in the Shruti we have an Upanishadic statement, it is that by the virtue of these 3 things, one person becomes qualified to become a student. His heart gains a natural inclination towards Jnana, towards yoga, towards the ultimate thing of life. So one is Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. And in Gita we have the reflection of this in the form of one verse. Yajna, Dana, Tapah, Karma, Natyajyam Karyameva Tat. Karyameva, this is to be done. Natyajyam, under any circumstance this is not to be deserted. So you may be so busy with every pursuit, but that does not mean that you are allowed to just be blind to these 3. You should not afford to be so. Karyameva, what are they? Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. Now we will just in little time see what is this Yajna, what is this Dana, and what is this Tapaha. What is the qualitative meaning of it, so that by getting that we can just at least try to set right our life in this. So Yajna can be translated, very loose translation I am giving now. The Yajna, the loose translation is any form of worship. Any form of worship. Suppose you are doing Devata Pujanam, that is also called Yajnam, that is called Deva Yajnaha. And if you are reading scriptures, that is also called Pujanam, Deva Pujanam eva, in different way. How? That is called Brahma Yajnaha. The study, the propagation, the both. The study and the propagation of valid scriptures again. So those scriptures, even if you are studying, you are doing yajna. Suppose I am doing all pitru karmas in a proper way, that is also called yajna, pitru yajnaha, showing gratitude and discharging all the duties as the son or daughter, then also this is called yajna, worship, pitru yajnaha. If I am serving fellow human beings, that's also called yajna, that is called manushya yajnaha. And if I dedicate some quality time of mine and abilities of mine for the preservation of the plant and animal life, that is called yajna again. That is called bhuta yajnaha. In Shastra, these are called pancha maha yajnas, that everyone is supposed to do. So general meaning we have. And when you read these 5 things, that is deva yajna, brahma yajna, pitru yajna, manushya yajna, bhuta yajna, it's a very beautiful idea. If you see all these things, your whole life is covered in that. Your whole life is covered. So some or the other activity you will be doing, and all the activity can be put in these 5. If I am studying, that is Brahma Yajna. If I am doing meditation or worship of the Bhagavan in the form of an elaborate ritual or in the form of Nitya Puja, Shodasopachara Puja for 15-20 minutes, whatever it may be, that is again Yajna. If I am serving people by being in office, by being in society, by being an employee, by being a citizen, whatever, that's also yajna. That means Shastra is saying, let all the life of ours be a yajna. Not that one half an hour puja, don't be happy with that. A man who is satiated with Nitya Puja and thinks that I am doing great job, I tell you, we are missing the important thing. So that should be a rehearsal. That's why Ramana Bhagavan very beautifully says in Upadesha Saram, Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrideva Pujanam. The puja what I do with one given murti, Eka Rupa, that should culminate in Aneka Rupa Ishvara Pujanam. Aneka Rupa, God in many forms. 8-fold form of Ishvara is presented. The 5 elements, Panchabhutas are God. The Surya representing all the grahas, he is God, the God in the form of Surya. Moon representing all the stars and also the time. Sun and moon represent time also. So the stars, the grahas, everything is Lord. And these 7 are over now. Who is the other fellow? The fellow who is doing worship, the Jiva. So total 8 forms Ishvara has. So Ramana Bhagavan is indirectly saying that let this puja of yours be a rehearsal to do that puja. So a man who thinks I am doing half an hour puja, there ends my spiritual pursuit. And all external rituals only he is doing, and Vrata Paripalanam, etc. is doing, with no sense of further development, with no sense of graduating into higher thing, but just this is, then that is a stagnation. So here yajna means let all life be a worship. Then what is worship? What is worship of the Lord? Any offering. In worship we offer. So offering is worship. So when you do worship also, right from Arghyam to Mahanivedanam, everything is being offered. If the Shastra says that your life should be a puja to Ishvara, a yajna, then that means my life itself should be offered to him. My whole life should become nivedanam to him. Now what are the minimum requirements to make a particular thing an offering to Bhagavan himself? There are 2 things. Number 1, any offering we do, that should be the best. The best. That is why when you even offer Bilva Dalam, you will see that there should be no achridraihi, no chidram. The holes and all these things should not be there. The perfect one we offer. And we are buying some fruits for the sake of Nivedanam. We buy the best fruits. Right? So the best is the first criteria. The second one is cheerful offering. If you offer cheerfully, that is taken, that's all. It's not like that person, one person is doing Annadanam. Because somebody told by doing Annadanam you will gain more punyam and all your wishes will be fulfilled. And this fellow, so miser he is, but still doing Annadanam. So one fellow asked, put some more ghee. Then he used to cheerfully tell that take whatever you want. And he is saying, ghee is 300 kilo, no problem, you can take as much as possible. And when somebody is giving rice, he is saying rice is only 20 rupees kg, no problem, you can eat. So that means he is not happy inside when he is counting. So where there is calculation, where is the sense of cheerfulness? A calculating mind can never be cheerful. Whatever may be the situation, it somehow misses that cheerfulness because of this calculation. So two things we have to consider. The first one is, it should be the best. The second one is, cheerful it should be when I offer. So in order to make my life an offering to Bhagavan, to the lotus feet of Bhagavan, then what am I to do? Make life the best life. Make life the best life. Let this life be like more a contributing life, less a consuming life. How to understand this? The life just opposite of what we are living, that's all. Simply opposite of what we are living. Now what we are? More consuming. Very less, that too because of some obligation contributing. So just sequence should be changed. So how to make life best? Two things. Do those things as permitted, as granted, as sanctioned by the Shastra. Do those things cheerfully. Okay? Do those things whom you love. And also love those things which you are doing. There are some things they don't consider my yes or no. I am to do. So let us do everything cheerfully. So when I can do that, whatever I do becomes a part of the society. This is a very important thing. Suppose I have a napkin in my hand. Moment it goes out of my hand, the gravitation takes that. That has become a part of the whole. So whatever, once it crosses my hand, it has become part of the whole. So that means whatever goes out of my hand, that means any deed that I discharge, any activity that becomes a part of the whole, and upon which so many universal laws will be working. And every law is but the unseen hand of Parameshwara. Ayam me hasto Bhagavan. Gravitation is not gravitation, this is an unseen hand of Ishvara. Like that there are innumerable laws working in the universe. That means every law is unseen hand of Bhagavan. Flowery language. So that means any activity I do, once it becomes the part of the whole, that means it has gone into the hands of God. So once this idea comes and this idea is fostered inside, then I will do, I will love. So I love and I do. And second is I do and love. So in a way I will be loving the work. Cheerfully I do. And cheerfulness will be there where I love. So these two things will be there. Thus life becomes the best life. So yajna is that wherein I consider every moment that my inhalation and exhalation are also an offering to Bhagavan. So I am doing very purposeful thing. So this is the most important thing. Then when we come to the second, yajna and dana. What is dana? Charity. Charity is a very beautiful word and having a very great extensive meaning. We consider giving away something is charity. But anything given minus love, anything given minus the concern, anything just given without any awareness, then that is not dana. No, how can you say that? That's also dhanam. I just gave and somebody is making use of it. That's dhanam. Shastra says, Shraddhaya deyam, Hriya deyam, Samvida deyam, Ashraddhaya deyam. With Ashraddha you should not do. What is Ashraddha? Without any idea about it. That is why in Kathopanishad, when father is donating all the cows, the son protested. The Nachiketa protested it. He said, what is it you are doing? All useless things you are donating. You should not do that. You should have concern for the person who is taking. So now these cows, which are of no use to you, because they are futile to you, you are giving them in charity. so that that will become a maintenance problem for that fellow. Understand? In a way, creating a problem. It's not dhanam. So before I give anything, it's before I give away things in the form of some vastus, in the form of dravyam, first thing is I should give the charity of love, charity of concern. And you can see one beautiful caption of Guru Maharaj here. What's written over there? On this photograph here. Love is the cure of everything, because everyone is in need of love. If I am donating some bag full of rice, maybe some people are in need of that. I may donate other things, maybe some people are in need of that. But the only one thing everyone is craving for at all the moments is what? Love. Is there anyone who says, I don't want any love? Everyone wants love. And what time? In which month? Only January, February, March I want love, and other times I don't require. No one says like that. Day in, day out, every minute people are craving for love. So when we say dhanam, don't simply bring it to the mundane level and give it a meaning of donating some things which are not useful to you. No. First I should give the charity of love. And then that should be expressed. Because there are again some more people here are there. Because our mind is also very great. Shastra says something, we find out our own way. It says, I have so much love inside. Whole world I am giving every day love. Every day I sit in my puja room and do meditation. Whole world I am giving love. No. Love is an emotion that belongs to Sukshma Sarira, because Manas is a part of Sukshma Sarira, and Sukshma Deha is aprathyaksham. It is not pratyaksham. So you should also make your love pratyaksham. It should be expressed. Not only as a feeling it should be. Okay, if everyone says I am giving love, and no one expresses, that's wrong. So dhanam is twofold now. As an attitude, that should be. As an activity, it should be. So both combined together. So I give something with love, with concern for the person, with an awareness of what I am giving, whether it is useful for him or not. So all these things to be understood. Then only it becomes a sadhana. Dhanam, the Veda Vakyam is saying, Shruti Vakyam is saying, one becomes pure by doing all these things. Pavanani Manishina. So these three things purify the bosom, so that this becomes a positive place for the jnana to grow. So that means expression is to be there with an attitude, not just action but an attitude, both together. That is called yajna, dhanam. Then the third one comes is tapaha. Yajna, dana, tapaha. Tapaha means any austerity, any form of spiritual discipline is also called tapasya. Any form, ekadashi vratam, that's also tapasya. Or doing some penance is tapasya. Your japam is also called tapaha. Understand? Japa yajna, japa tapaha, like that we have. So this austerity is important. So now what are we to consider? Because tapasya is a big word. Anything can be put. What is that which gives me the greatest benefit? As a student, as an aspirant, what is the tapasya which I have to take? Bhagavan says, take up one tapasya which is very useful for everyone. A beginner can take to that, as well as a qualified person. It suits to one and all, and it also complements all other tapasyas. I may do 101 tapasya, minus this, they will miss something. With this, they are given something. Then what is that? Vak tapaha. Understand? Other tapas is easy. Doing japa is easy. But doing vak tapasya is very difficult. Because for doing japa every day 20 minutes, if I refrain from other things, it's okay. 20 minutes if I can manage myself, it's okay. But vak tapas is something 24 hours I should be very conscious of. 24 hours I should be all the time thinking of the higher. Otherwise I cannot do this. So vangmayam tapaha. So vak tapas I should do. Understand? And what is vak tapasya? What am I to do? So utilize the ability of this speech, and we are very good at speaking. So just follow 4 parameters of the speech all the time. Quality control. So have a check inside. Make your mind an inspector to check this. And if the vak, every word what we speak, passes through all the 4, then let it out. Otherwise, reprocess it. Understand? And what is that? Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priya hitam chayate. So 4 parameters Bhagavan Krishna gives. One is anudvegakaram. See to that it is not unnecessarily triggering the wild emotions in others. So don't commit vagrupa himsa. So speak in such a way that udvignata should be not there, nor it should disturb the other fellow too much. Anyhow, when we speak, obviously somebody is disturbed, but from your side be very careful that intentionally don't hurt anyone. And process the words, process the idea, present in such a way that there should not be any vagrupa himsa. And vagrupa himsa is more qualitatively more papa hetu. Because with word you can hurt a person. Any hurt caused by weapon can be cured, but there are certain hurts which are caused by words which you cannot cure. After that you may do 101 things of no use. So one parameter is anudvegakaram. The second one is satyam. If you know, you talk, otherwise just keep quiet. If you don't have any idea, simply say I don't know. That's the best way, you will get time also. But what we are doing, we speak more about those things of which we don't have any idea. Understand, sir? We speak more about that because we don't know anything. Whatever comes to our mind, we can speak. So that should not be done. If you know, you speak. Otherwise, don't. Be truthful. Don't unnecessarily exaggerate. Don't try to pull that fellow into this. Okay, no marketing. Only one way is no marketing. Don't tell anything which you don't know. So satyam. The third one is priyam. That should be soothing. Every word should give some solace to the other fellow. Even if it is criticism, even if you are doing it for correcting the fellow, tell in such a way that he should feel happy and he should feel, yes, I am being corrected by this man, not that I am being cursed by this fellow. Satyam. And fourth one, very important, is hitam. See to that it is also beneficial to that fellow. Okay? Also beneficial, because anyhow benefit to you. Why? Letting the steam out. I am happy, I am unburdened, but now that fellow is burdened. So you should also see that. Also he is benefited. If these 4 parameters are taken care, that is called vak tapasya. And vak tapasya is that tapasya which you can do every minute. So whenever you open the mouth, see to that these 4 are there or not. If any one is missing, don't bring it out. Now you will see how much discipline comes in life. Because when you are so watchful that you will not be corrected by anyone. Your very mind corrects you. And our very intellect corrects us. And that is the life. I call that a life. That is called a human being's life, wherein his mind is correcting him. His intellect is correcting him. Because the job of the intellect is to correct us. And the job of the mind is to be like a friend. So if we don't follow all these things, we become, instead of Atma Shreyas, we will have Atma Shatrutvam, which Bhagavan says that a person, if he converts himself into a Shatru, and who is that? Who is not given to spiritual practices, who doesn't take care of all these things? In 6th chapter he says that the very Atma becomes Shatru. Vartet Atmaiva Shatruvat. Once the mind, the buddhi, etc. becomes a Shatru, that means they don't guide us in a proper way, because our lack of discipline outside, our lack of knowledge about all these things, and our being inadvertent towards all these things, they behave as though Shatru. It's not that they become Shatru and push you, they become as though Shatru. For example, if I don't have immunity, the proper measurement of immunity is not there in me, whole world is become Shatru. World does not know that. World never thinks that I should become the Shatru to this Prem Siddharth. But if I lack immunity, then what happens? Every small problem, every small infection going here and there, I will become the host for it. So world becomes Shatru. Not that it is really Shatru. The lack of immunity determines the world like that. Like that, the lack of inner equipoise, the lack of this spiritual discipline, the lack of all these activities, this awareness makes my own mind, my own intellect as Shatru to me. And once these Shatrus who are very in the bosom, where is the peace? Kuta Shantihi. How can I be peaceful? So if I am to have a peaceful life, if I am to have a blessed life, if I am to have a divine life, then I am to follow these three things. Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. Can make life endowed with these three. Then whatever you offer to that, to Ishvara, God becomes so happy. So in conclusion, I just recollect two statements. One is, the life what we have, is God's gift to us. I don't see any other reason beyond it or besides it. So the life what I have is God's gift to me, and life what I make is my gift to God. If I am to give, a pratikanuka is to be given. That is Indian culture. If you give something, again pratisamvedana has to be done. You have to do that. Not simply taking. You have to give. So I take something valuable, unparalleled, which no other fellow can give me. That life God gave me. So I have to give him what? The life fully decorated, endowed with these qualities, and will full of sattva and jnana, and that quality life I should offer to Ishvara. So I take from him and properly I offer to him, then my journey is total. So let us all, seated in this holy place, sanctified by the divine presence of Chidanandji Maharaj and many holy people, let us all rededicate ourselves to this holy pursuit, and let us pray to the holy lotus feet of Shivanandaji Maharaj to bestow upon us all the Shakti and all the Gnana which we require for this noble pursuit. My prostrations to all the saints seated here, and my namaskars to one and all here. Thus I conclude. Hari Om Tat Sat. Swamiji, actually, we were in Uttarakasi for a Jnana Yajna and spiritual camp with all these sadhakas, and we had a 6-7 day program on Hastamalakiyam. Then now having come here, I feel very blessed that our Jnana Yajna became so successful today. And in the presence of Amsanji Maharaj, before whom I am just a traveling kid. So I could get this chance that I consider it's a greatest blessing today.